Okay, so I'm just going to document what I've done to add the easy mode into your game. So first of all, I copy your code and put it into easy.html, and then I serve it locally to test it, and I see that the easy HTML is not working. So first things first, I add assets to the assets so it can find it in the file system. Then, looking at your JavaScript inside of your HTML, I decide to select the JavaScript and put it in a new file, and here I'm referring to that file called easy.js. Now I've created that file, and when I serve it, now you notice that easy.js is working. Now I'm just tidying up the code a little bit. I notice you've also got the styles in the same file. So I've selected the styles and created a new file called style.css, but I forgot how to link it. Aha, there you go. Rel style sheet. There's the style CSS, and I paste it in. And I have to make the change in both easy.html and index.html. Here I noticed that there are styles inline which isn't necessary, and it makes the HTML quite bloated. So if I put them in here, and then if I go and test it, so now we've made these changes, I'm going to show you how to add them to Git. So first of all, I run the command git status. That lists out these 4 files that we have made changes to. Then I ran a command which is git add dot. That added the files ready to be committed. And then I typed in git commit -m and the message associated with the commit. That'll be a message that will be viewable on GitHub. Files are ready to be sent to GitHub, so I type in a command called git push. Currently this branch doesn't exist on Git, so we need to tell Git to create a branch with that name. And now we push and we see that everything is up to date. So GitHub shows the master branch by default, so we need to select our branch or create a pull request for our branch. Here we can add a name and we can review the files that we have changed to see if we've made any errors. Here I notice I left in some CSS which we removed in the other HTML file, so I quickly open up index.html and remove it, as we have already added the style to the style sheet. I test it out and it still seems to work. I commit the changes, push them to GitHub, and then when I go back to the branch on GitHub, I can see that the CSS is no longer there. At this point, I'm happy with the changes that we have made, and I click Merge Pull Request, and then I delete the branch. So now, rather than the work being on a separate branch, the work is now on the master branch, and that means it's ready to be released. Next, I decide to open up settings and tell GitHub that I want to host a website. GitHub offers free hosting for simple flat pages. So now you can see it's hosted on github.io, and I can access both easy and hard modes. I notice some JavaScript onload function, and I copy it and set window.onload equals start game, which is a much better way of assigning that property so you're not convoluting your HTML with JavaScript. Now I write out a link to hard mode from the easy page and to easy mode from the hard page. So they're simple HTML links with relative links, and I test it out locally, and you notice it goes to the left hand side, which is not what I want. So I add a class, call it menu link, add it to both the links, and create some CSS to relate to that class. I set width 100, display block, and there you go, it's at the top. Here I realize there's a slight error. When I click at the bottom of a box, it selects the top of the box below. The location where the user clicks is based on their position on the page, but when we added the link, it moved the contents of the page downwards. So I do a little bit of research and realized that there's a simple way to get around this. You get a rectangle from the canvas, and then you use its properties of left and top and subtract them from the event click X and click Y. And therefore, when I copy those bits out, then we are left with the calculation of the click relative to where the canvas's position is on the page. So now as you see, I'm clicking the edge, and it works for both easy and hard modes. Now I quickly do a git status, check what branch I'm on, then run git diff to show the changes that I have made. And then I decide to check out a new branch called links. Instead of committing it via the command line, I decide to open it up in VS Code to show you an alternative way of making commits to GitHub. Here I select which files I want to be committed to GitHub, and I type in a commit message in the box. Then I click the tick at the very top of the page. I go to GitHub and I see that I get a 404. This is because the change that I have made is on a local branch and not on GitHub. So luckily, in VS Code there is a little button at the bottom which pushes it. Alternatively, I could always use the command line. Now when I refresh, my branch is there. I can create a new pull request, review my small changes, click Create Pull Request, and then click Merge. Now I can refresh the web page, test it out, and see it all works.